The regime is totally, is going after the protesters in a very strong fashion. At the same time, the protesters are not backing down. All these three countries are oil-rich countries: Venezuela, Nigeria, now Iran. Tomorrow, if he takes control of Iran, then and if he is very much a dominant power in Nigeria, then he's virtually controlling the world oil market. Anything on what US is saying can be, said after the US Supreme Court has taken a view on tariff. When you come to the Indo US relationship and the trade deal, I think India needs to not to react to any statement that is coming out. India needs energy security. It will buy from diverse sources. So to say that, you stop buying from here, you stop buying from there, it cannot happen because the prices will shoot up. India has just become a collateral damage of something that has been taking place between Europe and Russia and US.
Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Hindustan Times and my name is Aisha Varma. This week's episode of Point Blank focuses on Iran, Trump and trade. Let's begin. We have HT's executive editor, Mr. Shishir Gupta, joining us at this point. Sir, namaskar. So what is happening in Iran? Over 500 people have been killed amid protests.
See, right now there are a lot of protests that are going on in Iran. People have died in hundreds. That's what the news agencies are saying. There has been a total ban or total darkness as far as Iran goes, as far as information comes in, because the internet is down now. And the numbers killed are more than about 500 and about 10,000 being arrested. Now, the protests are basically on the state of economy, the economic deprivation that has gone on in Iran right now. So there is a genuine cause of protest. Now, a similar protest took place in Iran 2 years ago, but that was on the hijab issue, right? That was more on a political issue. Right now, it is about, basic economic crisis in Iran. So now the only thing is that how much can the protest actually achieve a threshold of a regime change, or will the Ayatollahs and his men, the IRGC and all, be able to put down the protest? Now, it's a toss-up between the two of them. So right now what's happening is that the regime is totally, is going after the protesters in a very strong fashion. At the same time, the protesters are not backing down, which is something is of a lot of concern. Now, the point is why one can't say things with a definite, as to where it will go, because there is hardly any transparency in the theater. So the protests are on. The regime is striking back. It's a anybody's game as to who's going to win in this. But let me tell you one thing. Even if these protesters are put down through brutal force, through coercion or whatever it is, this is not going to die down. It may erupt again after a year, after 6 months. But right now, the protesters are on. The regime is weak after the attack by Israel, attack by US. The regime hardly has the capacity to sort of threaten anybody. I mean, they can say overtly that like the Iranian speaker has talked about, that they will strike at US and strike at Israel. The regime hardly has the capability of that. Because if they do anything, there'll be huge retaliation. And they do not have any air defense to actually take out the ballistic missiles that will go their way or the cruise missiles that will come their way. So that is a whole lot of, the regime may be threatening, but the fact is that the regime is weak, the protests are on. Right now, it's just a toss-up as to who wins.
So, sir, Donald Trump, now the US president, also the acting president of Venezuela.
That's what he says.
He's also making statements about how he's considering military intervention in Iran because of the protests, because of the death toll. What's your take on all of this?
See, I have a slightly different take on this. You just have a look at this, what has happened. Today on Truth Social, he has said, he's called himself and posted his image as the acting president of Venezuela. Earlier, he talked about, that he was locked and loaded on Iran. Then he talked about intervention in Iran. Latest, his statement is that he is possibly looking at some sort of a nuclear dialogue with Iran. Now, look at things from a higher plateau. US has attacked 4 places. Venezuela, Nigeria, Iran, Syria. Syria was ISIS, right? All these 3 countries are oil-rich countries. Venezuela, Nigeria, now Iran. Now, people may think that, Donald Trump is just speaking his mouth out. I don't think so. If tomorrow he takes control of, he's already taken control of Venezuela, he's called himself acting president. Tomorrow, if he takes control of Iran, then and if he is very much a dominant power in Nigeria, then he's virtually controlling the world oil market, the world energy market. So, just one has to wait and watch as to what he's saying. I mean, sometimes the numbers are not right. Sometimes the numbers are sort of, are inflated. But the fact remains is that he has a plan. There is a clear-cut plan in all this. Okay, it's not madness that is happening. Be it Greenland, it is not madness. Right? He came on the agenda of making America great again. He's pushed America into the center stage. Today, America is the one which is the chief disruptor, global disruptor. Now, there's one more thing that is happening. There is a possibility that the Ukraine war may, there should be some steps towards peace. It's a possibility because, again, President Trump is trying to get the Europeans, after pushing them, pressurizing them on Greenland, pressurizing them on everything, trying to get them on board to try and strike a deal with Putin. So there are a lot of things at play, but there is definitely a method in all this. Okay, just think about it. If America owns, virtually is the biggest oil player in the world, and suppose the oil prices go up, then what happens? So, President Donald Trump is right now playing politics, playing geopolitics, using oil as a weapon, using tariff as a weapon, and the world does not know how to react to it.
So, sir, as you said, using tariffs as a weapon, let's come to something which is very important when we talk about India and the United States. US officials have been trading words on India. Essentially, has the bilateral relationship been hit with acrimony?
See, let me say that to you. These statements that are coming from US, they have a context. The context is the US Supreme Court has to take a view on the tariffs. The judgment was supposed to come on the 9th of January. Now it is scheduled to come on the 14th of January. Right? Now, you can't expect President Donald Trump or his cabinet to back down on it. So this hype is all to tell everybody that, listen, we are not backing down on anything. right? So you talk about 500% tariff, you talk about, tariff on India, you talk about Russian oil, you talk about everything. So, basically saying that I have done the right thing, and to give a message to everybody saying that, US is not backing down because the judgment is coming. Second thing, look at where is this 500% tariff, tariff thing. That bill has been introduced in Senate. The Senate has not voted on it. The Congress has not voted on it. Everybody is jumping up and down. The fact of the matter is just a bill right now. So basically, anything on what US is saying can be, said after the US Supreme Court has taken a view on tariff. Then let's see where it goes. That's where it is. To my mind, all this noise, one has to just cut through the noise and just look at why all these things being said. And the answer is, wait for the US Supreme Court. Wait for the Senate to pass the bill. Let things happen on ground before you start to react to it. Here we are reacting on things which have not even taken place.
So while many say that the India-United States trade deal is at a freezing point right now, what exactly is the status? What do you think is going on there?
See, the easiest thing to say is that it's been put on a deep freeze. No, it is not. The Indo US trade deal is still, the ball is very much in play. There is constant communication happening. It's not that communication is not happening. You see, trade it's not so simple. It has many political manifestations. It has a lot of ramifications on everybody. So these things are done after very serious consideration, after very serious due diligence. So the ball is still in play. Let's see where it goes. The two sides are talking. We have given our draft. They have sent their draft back. Now there is a to and fro happening in that, right? There is this larger issue about Russian oil, which we have tried to sort of buy less, at least, and we are tapering it off, right? We are also buying other things from US to reduce the trade deficit, particularly the gold and silver, the oil. We are buying from US to ensure that the trade deficit goes down on their side. So it's still very much in play. And there are people who say, India actually needs to maybe given more so that the trade deal takes place. No, it doesn't happen like that. So let's see, let's wait and watch. With President Donald Trump, anything can happen.
So the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, has landed in Ahmedabad. Tell us more about what we're going to expect with this visit. Also, when we talk about the European FTA, what is the play there?
See, the German Chancellor, Friedrich Merz, is now going to have bilateral dialogue with Prime Minister Narendra Modi today in Ahmedabad. And the two actually have a lot of personal equation between them. And German Chancellor is all for a very good relationship with India, right? Now, there are other things that are critical things that are going to happen with Germany. There is this trade thing, there is this high-end technology, but Germany is also helping India in developing the air-independent propulsion submarine, where the air-independent propulsion will be given by the German company. And the 6 submarines under Project 75I are going to be made in India. So that's where Germany is all about. Then next month, President Emmanuel Macron is going to land up in India for the AI summit, which India is hosting. And the next month, March, the Canadian Prime Minister, for the first time, Mark Carney, is coming to India for a bilateral visit. These are all very significant events. Now, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar was in France and was in Luxembourg. So his take on, he was there in France. And from what has happened in France, that France and India continue to be very, very close allies. Because Europe right now is not only afraid of Russia or China. It is also afraid with the US. So the only country that actually, the two sides can come together on the same page is with India. So you see, France wants full-fledged cooperation with India. France is ready to do the Rafale fighters in India under the Make in India route. And as far as trade is concerned, the EU is expected to sign an FTA with India because the EU top leadership is coming for the Republic Day as the chief guest. Now, my understanding is that the deal is still not complete, but there is a very good chance the deal might take place. So if you look at European Union, you see that Europe has the combined GDP of Europe. That means European Union plus others, that is UK, plus EFTA countries, which is like Iceland, Liechtenstein, Switzerland, right? These 4 countries, the total GDP is about $30 odd trillion. Now, India already has a FTA with UK. India already has an FTA with EFTA countries. The only FTA left is with the European Union. If that happens, Indian trade will take a huge boost in that area. And that will also help India to diversify trade and also reduce India's vulnerability vis-a-vis other countries, particularly the US, and also reducing the trade deficit with China.
So then, sir, geopolitically speaking, what are India's next steps in regards to all of these matters that we've just spoken about?
See, right now the world is in ferment. First of all, when you come to the Indo US relationship and the trade deal, I think India needs to not to react to any statement that is coming out. We have to not be reactive. We have to look at what is happening on ground, consider the entire thing, and then take a calculated decision. You basically, as far as US goes, you have to just hold the line. You don't have to appease anybody. You have to take decisions in your interest. If it talks about Russian oil, the point here is that if India needs energy security, it will buy from diverse sources. So to say that, you stop buying from here, you stop buying from there, it cannot happen because the prices will shoot up. And that will have very serious political and economic ramifications in India. So that is where it is. Now, as far as Iran goes, we hardly have that kind of transparency as to what really is happening in Iran. Right? You have statements coming from US, you have statements coming from Iran, and so on and so forth. But definitely we know there is a lot of ferment, political ferment in Iran. And the ferment is against the mullahs. The ferment is against the ayatollahs. Right? The basis of the ferment is economic crisis, but it is also about the people coming out on streets for their own rights and for their own freedom. Right? Now, something like Tiananmen can take place again, or the protesters finally manage to push out the regime. Anything can happen in Iran. So that's point 2. Now, as far as Ukraine is concerned, India has made it very clear that India has just become a collateral damage of something that is being taking place between Europe and Russia and US unnecessarily, just because India is buying oil for its own energy security. India, Prime Minister Modi has made it very clear that India is not for war. Right? And India hardly has a locus standi in this war. So now let's see how the peace talks take place. And I will not rule out peace. It may sound impossible considering that, it's a very complicated game, but it is well worth pursuing. That's where it is. But what you are seeing is, a huge global ferment, political ferment all over the place. Whether it is Venezuela, whether it is Cuba, whether it is Greenland, where there is Gaza, where there is, there is this Houthis, so the world, Taiwan. So you are looking at a scenario where, anything can prop up. at any given point of time. So basically, as far as India is concerned, we don't need to react to every statement that is made in this world. We don't have to really look towards social media to react to statements. We have to look at our own interest and then take a considered view before we start to move things. Simply put, just hold the line.
Sir, thank you so much for joining us and bringing us more crucial perspective into matters of the world. With this, it's a wrap. But do stay tuned for next week's episode of Point Blank.